This episode is brought to you by Buy My Stuff on eBay. Yes, you too can buy my stuff from eBay. Simply search for the seller, Tin Dog Podcast, and you can own some rare and collectible items. From the same people who brought you Buy My Books on Amazon. Check the show notes for a direct link.
Scanning for audio.
Hello and welcome to a Tin Dog Podcast. I'm going to be talking about something different today. No quiz, no big finish, no Doctor Who. I'm talking about something that I should have discussed a little bit back, but that's fine. You see, this weekend gone, my daughter was away and we thought we'd watch something on the TV that we wouldn't normally watch. And we watched Alien Earth. I know. All 8 episodes. We binged something. It was glorious. So, bit of background before I review this 8-episode mini-series, proving that not all Disney queens look the same. Okay, my history with Alien is I loved Aliens. I truly thought it was one of the greatest films of all time. It surpassed the first film. Okay, anyone who says otherwise, well, they're just being pedantic, I guess. Yes, the first film's a thriller, the second film's a war film, we do all this. My mate John was a huge fan, and let's face it, lots of other people were. I have, and indeed I loved the DVD box set that came with film 1, 2, 3, 4, and even Aliens vs. Predator, okay? So, here's my question. The Aliens universe, okay? How do you feel about it being part of other universes? Because Aliens vs. Predator, I get that. I get that people were thinking that the Aliens franchise was running out of energy and they just sort of went, oh well, something else from the 80s was Predator. And it makes sense to put them together because there was that skull in Predator 2 and then they went, well, let's just push the boundaries a bit. Then they did the crossovers and had an alien... Yeah, we get that, right? We genuinely do. But in this thing, there's a big thing about, well, let's face it, one of the characters is quite clearly a Nexus 6 android from Blade Runner, yeah? And I am convinced in one of the long shots you can see one of the old Tyrell buildings. I was a gigantic Blade Runner fan. Okay, so, is there such a thing as the Scottiverse? Okay, and if not, I'd like to pen that now. Yes, we know that Aliens is kind of not really the same universe as Avatar, okay? Although that would be the Cameron-verse, yeah? Because, let's face it, Sigourney Weaver's hung around far too much. No. The original films were primarily Weaver-based, okay? We get that. And then they went and changed the biology of the aliens by cutting out various scenes because there was stuff that wasn't in the first film but was in the second film and so on, yeah? So now there's different ways of them reproducing because then we ended up turning them into massive insects. And then we've got the business with the space jockey, the thing on the thing. Now, okay, so when we sit down to watch it, this is me and my wife, I discover, rather shockingly, she's never seen any of the Aliens films. How you get to our age and not seeing them is absolutely beyond me, but that's not important. What is important is that they were really important to me, and I had a lot of baggage. I'd read all the Dark Horse comics. However, I started to realise that, you're on your phone a bit and you have a bit of a look. I've not seen 3 of the movies. I've not seen any of the new ones. I tried watching Prometheus and I made it about 10 minutes in and was going, well, who's these bald guys pouring something in the water? This makes no sense. And then I just lost it. And I was like, what? He's Mr. Whalen, and that's the bloke off Neighbours. Wasn't he in the time machine, the disappointing time machine? And I just phased out and just went. So you've got Prometheus, Romulus and Covenant, all of which I've not seen. Sorry, it's Prometheus and Covenant which fit together and apparently have got something going on with the storyline. And then you've got the new one, which is Romulus, which is like a standalone, apparently, with a bit of research. So I don't know as much about the Alien franchises as I should, which is weird because I lived and breathed it. Look, here's the thing. As a kid, I used to have nightmares, like full-on terrifying nightmares. And then I bought a poster. It was one of those full doorway posters. It would take up the entire door, and I put that on the built-in wardrobe that was in my room. Now, it wasn't a wardrobe as such. It was more like a sort of airing cupboard thing with a proper door on it. And that was an alien coming through. And in my head, I convinced myself, I'm saying I was a kid. I was like, 13, 14? I convinced myself that all nightmares had to get past this thing. Oh my God, I've not thought about this for years. Basically, I had the poster in my room and it made me feel better. I was very fond of that alien that would stare at me from the other side of the room. I don't know if anybody else had that poster, but I did, and it was great. I had it for many a year and I was very fond. Anyway, so there's that. All of the Friends had that, and then there's the Terminator universe and things like that. Okay, so what you've got is someone who's a bit of an Alien fan, right? And I really lived and breathed it for the longest time. But you get older and you think, I'll get around to watching that other film at some other point, and that's it. So anyway, I'm back in. We're back in the room. We're back watching these stories, these 8 episodes. Now, the way that stuff goes out on Disney, if you don't already know, and trust me, you absolutely do already know, but I need to discuss it anyway, is you usually get episodes 1 and 2 the same night, and then a week later you get 3, and so on, all the way up to the very ending of 8. Also, as portrayed in, say, the first the Eccleston series on Doctor Who, halfway through a season you get a re-injection of energy, and you get a lot more kind of going back to basics so that you could join the show then, okay, at a halfway point in order to avoid the drop-off. This is textbook. Episode 1 and 2 are great, and episode 5 is widely received by most people as some of the greatest television of all time. Okay? For those of you who don't, you already know, I don't need to talk about facehuggers, I don't need to talk about LV-426, I don't need to discuss any of those things, okay, because we all know. The things that are in this story, Alien Earth, kind of are a bit annoying, because Sigourney Weaver in the second film was all kind of, if one of those things make it back to Earth. And now that we're, 11 films in? Trust me, they've been to Earth. The only person who didn't know they hadn't been to Earth is Sigourney Weaver's character. We can go with that. There are other aliens. Oh yeah, and that's the big spin on this. I don't know if there are other aliens in the other 3 films that I've not seen. I suspect not. This last one, the Romulus one, I'm pretty sure is just the classic jump scare going back to the original movie. And the other 2, God knows what's going on. Is it the story of the elephant people? Probably. I will watch them at some point. Okay, so space travel is a long game. Oh, sorry, I was talking about multi-universe things, right? Because this story has got lots of other stuff going on. It's got stuff all about androids and the race for immortality and an island and things like that, which, to an untrained eye, could come across as just filling in padding, because let's face it, it's here's a monster, it comes to Earth, what's it going to do? But you have to have somewhere to keep it, and it has to be, let's face it, for narrative purposes, an island, because you don't want one loose in a city. Oh no. Although there is one shot where you get to see some buildings in the background behind that probably means that later on you're going to have a wandering around a city bit. Because this is not the end. I need to put my hand up now and say that this is not the end, because episode 8 has so much stuff hanging over at the end. So many characters who you expected to be killed off still alive. And you're going, seriously mate, there's like half an hour left and I've slept through it. Well, I've sat through 8 hours of this and people just aren't getting killed off. People just are surviving. What on earth's going on? You've got spaceships like the Maginot. Okay, so all of the other spaceships in the world of Alien have got stuff from... I've forgotten his name, and I did know it. It's the bloke who wrote Heart of Darkness, Conrad. Okay, Joseph Conrad wrote that. So the Nostromo, all of that business, the Sulaco, they're all mentioned in those books, right? The Maginot, which is a reference to the Maginot Line, which is a defensive line that fails horribly in history. I don't know why you'd call your spaceship that. You want something a bit more... Well, I know why they all got French-sounding names. That's a whole extra thing. So basically, does this take place in the same universe as Blade Runner? Because the guy looks like a Nexus 6. This is all dealing with what makes you human. Are you a human because you exist inside an alien body? Now, I was expecting halfway through to discover that some of the kids hadn't actually died, and all of these new hybrid people who are just the kids inside robot bodies are basically duplicates, because that's what you do. You're photocopying somebody's essence, mind, soul, brain, whatever you want to do, copying it into what looks like a positronic brain because it's square on the x-rays. Yeah, nice. There's lots of other routes, and then putting that out there, and that becomes the new official model. It's the version 2 of you. Yes, your body now functions better, but you are still a kid. Oh my god, it is just adults playing kids. It's so drama school. It really is. Okay, so then you've got your cyborgs, who are just people with augmented stuff. Let's face it, if you're wearing a pair of glasses, you're a cyborg. Being run over, got bits of metal in your leg, you're a cyborg. Anything that uses stuff to function better, you're a cyborg. It's all one massive sliding scale, okay? Replacement arm, cyborg. Get it, right? So then you've got your synthetics, who are just artificial people, who are programmed to look like people. There's so many of them in this, because the characters need to exist so that they won't be attacked by the xenomorphs and all of that. But it's lovely, all of the other aliens. Now, obviously, just like everybody else who's watched this, their favourite alien in it is the eye alien. Hooray! But my question about the simulants is, all the way through, was like, does it kill the originals before you make the duplicates? Or, and this is what I thought was going to happen, are they going to come across the originals, some of them still alive, in a ward, dying off, or even getting better? I mean, what happens if one of those kids who's terminal gets better? Yeah? They get better. And then, because perhaps it was an environmental thing that was making them ill, and then you've got two versions of the same person. One's a duplicate, one's got much bigger brain capacity because they can learn stuff at the flick of a switch. But does that stop them being human? Yeah, we're in the realm of the prisoner now, aren't we? So all of those questions, obviously, are completely, almost skated over. But there's enough gone into to make you think about it later. But of course, getting back to the original thing, one of the eye alien. Has he got a name yet? She, it, they, them, I. All of the pupils that move around. Obviously, they're hyper-intelligent, because obviously once you're connected to a sheep, it starts doing that, and then it's been connected to a human. See, you were expecting that by the end to have happened, so that, Prodigy Boy could actually have that conversation with somebody who's hyper-intelligent. Because you were expecting that to be a really good 5 minutes, and that would be the end of him as a character. But no, none of it ends well. It's the construction builds up perfectly. The world building's great. Oh my god. Right. So, everyone's banging on about how great episode 5 is, yeah? And here's the thing. It's a love letter to the first film, yeah? But it's a love letter to such an extent that it practically looks like cosplay. Because Mother, right, okay, nothing ages like the future, okay? Mother was futuristic in 1979. Computers look very different, but now we've got the single-use computer that's coming out, and everyone seems to be using those now. Or at least that seems to be a direction. Is that what we've got? Have we now got computers that are solar flare resistant, which is why computers and tablets all have that? Oh my god, right, forgive me for saying this word. A vibe. I'm sorry, I can't say it again. An aesthetic choice of design that matches the original so perfectly as to make you just a bit queasy. It's almost uncanny valley. But the research vessel is better. The crew is bigger. Everybody is really well designed, and why everyone's still smoking in space is beyond me. Why things still drip is beyond me. But these are design choices that work great. Mobius would have been very happy, and so would Geiger. I've gone on about this a lot, but what I want to say is, yeah, I loved it. Yeah, the ending was just a little bit, not great. And I do like the idea that the Alien Queen is now a Disney Queen. So that works for me. The whole thing about not showing the alien was important for the first film. You only see it once it gets blasted out into space. You saw more of them in Aliens, but they were still creatures of the shadows. But here, they're wandering around like velociraptors. Oh, I have to put my hand up. I have bought myself a Jurassic Park t-shirt that says Prodigy Park on the front, and it's got a silhouette of a xenomorph instead of a T-Rex. I absolutely will be buying that, because like Magrathea was then pulled down and Milliways was built on top, part of me likes to believe that this is the same island from Jurassic Park. Yes, I know there was a volcano, but let's face it, how many other Jurassic Park islands have turned up since? Well, there was a site where we used to test the DNA of the creatures. Was there really? Yeah. So what does it mean to be human? Do androids dream of electric sheep? All of that nonsense, it's marvellous. And you know what? I've still never seen the second Blade Runner film. But the reason behind that's weird. And something I should really ignore. So I now have a shopping list of things I need to watch. 3 Aliens films and 1 sequel to Blade Runner. And how I've not seen the sequel to Blade Runner, well, we'll discuss that another time. Did I agree with you? Did you like it? I don't know. But I did. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's just the ending had so much promise and so many story arcs and so much stuff. And Ade Edmondson was just scary and kind of needed a suit that fitted better. And the fact that he had all those spare heads on the wall, so like Crichton, well, that just made me smile. Right, I've rambled on long enough. Until next time, be seeing you.
That was the Tin Dog Podcast. All topics discussed are the intellectual property of the copyright owners. No infringement is intended. Why not follow the show on Blue Sky at tindogpodcast.bsky.social. If you've enjoyed this podcast on YouTube, please click like and subscribe. To contact the show, email tin-dog@hotmail.co.uk. The Tin Dog Podcast is a founder member of the Doctor Who Podcast Alliance.